Wow, Afghanistan have made the Super 8s very interesting indeed. After that incredible performance against Australia, where they now can just beat Bangladesh and make the semis, they have blown the group with Australia and India wide open. So I thought, let's just have a look at these tables on both groups and see how all 8 teams can make the semis. That's right, technically every side can still make it. This is the Maximum Cricket Podcast, powered by Domino's Pizza. My name is Munter, no Jacko today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Maybe hit that subscribe button while you're here also.
Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
But first, let's just unpack a pretty massive upset between Australia and Afghanistan. And before people get their knickers in a twist, Afghanistan are very good. I did say earlier in the piece that they are a good chance of beating Australia. So check that tape if you are unsure. It is still an upset, people. Australia had not lost a game up until this game. They were favourites with the bookies. They were like tournament favourites. A lot of people had them winning the whole thing. Them in India probably. I mean, it's obviously not USA beating Pakistan an upset, but it's still an upset. And that's okay. It's not that big a deal. If New Zealand beats Australia, it's an upset. I don't sit here and go, oh, actually, they've been doing really well. It's a golden era. They won the World Test Championship. It doesn't really matter. Okay. It's still an upset. That's okay. Not a big deal. Okay. Doesn't take anything away from Afghanistan. Unbelievable performance, but it's still an upset. Let's unpack this game. Afghanistan, they made 148, 118 off 16 overs for the opening stand. Odd sort of operation. I thought they were going a little bit slow, but obviously turned out pretty good. Australia, turns out, can't catch when they want to win either. So really got to work on that. That's probably going to hurt them in the long run. If they do look back and lose and not make it through the next round, which is pretty likely at this point, their fielding is definitely something that should have been a lot better. Cummins, another hat trick, 2 in a row. That's unbelievable stuff. At the death, over 2 separate overs, just asterisk stuff. It's just not the same. Hat tricks just aren't the same anymore. It's not the same as like a test match where you've got other teams actually trying to not go out. Like when a team's just trying to, it's the end of the innings, you've got to go for it. I get that. It's still an achievement, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I don't want to be old man yelling at cloud type stuff, but it's just not the same, is it? Just not the same. Australia, they bowl really well to death. Can't fault them. They've been phenomenal. Cummins turning into a genuine T20 threat with the ball. Zampa doing his thing. 148 felt touch under par, but as it turns out, Australia all out for 127. They got rocked early, 32 for 3. Mitchell Marsh, haven't done a lot. Another failed score. Interesting with Smith on the bench and he's captain. Just something to note. Maxwell does it again. 59 off 41 rocks. Likes playing against Afghanistan, doesn't he? Flashbacks for Afghanistan from the World Cup last year. We made that incredible double ton. Wasn't to be. Naib, their 8th bowler used. Not something you see every day. Eight bowlers used. Just needed the keeper to get amongst. He took 4 for 20 off 4. Australia just don't fancy good spinners. Just always a little niggly. Don't quite like that ball spinning. But we really needed this result from a neutral standpoint. It felt like we were just heading towards the Australia-India sort of setup. A little bit of excitement in the other group, which we'll get to, but that's really blown up that group, which we will get to. And it had to feel good for Afghanistan for a number of reasons. Obviously, a few demons from last year's World Cup, they probably wouldn't have thought they won that game until they actually won it. 90 for 6, chasing 280 or whatever it was. Nice to see Australia actually just play Afghanistan for once. Obviously weren't planning on pulling out of this game when it actually meant something. Bilaterals, a lot easier just to not worry about it. There's no sort of consequence. It's like, we don't really need these games anyway. If we wanted to, we'd just play India and England if we could. But we got an excuse, and now we could just sort of pull out, so which is great for us. Cricket info they've brought up, should Afghanistan even be playing at all? The rules do state you need a women's team. They don't. Taliban stuff. My gut tells me they should be banned, but I don't know. I don't know the full extent, but the rules are the rules. So I think just change the rules or ban them, the ICC, because you look like a joke. You look like a gentle parent that's like their kids obviously playing up, not and bullying other kids, and you're just like, stop it, Timmy, stop it, and then you just let them do whatever they want anyway. It's just no one takes you seriously now. Why have the rules in there? Just change the rule. You look like a joke.
The secret, eh?
Okay, let's do it. Let's look at Group 1 first. But first, let's look at Group 1. But first, this whole episode is basically a dominoes decision. What we're going to do is, well, I'm going to do, because Jacko's currently traveling to Canada. Lucky him, a lot warmer than New Zealand at the moment, that's for sure. But yeah, we're going to break down all 8 teams' chances of qualifying for the semi-finals. Technically, USA, Bangladesh can qualify. Wouldn't put money on it, but just to be fair, I'm gonna bring up how they can do it. And at the end, I'm going to pick my semi-finalists. Domino's have brought back the Philly cheesesteak pizza, only $13. Hollywood has done an incredible job of marketing the Philly cheesesteak as the greatest sandwich on the planet. Like I need to have one before I die type stuff. That's how good it looks. That's how well they've marketed it. Every single person famous out of Philadelphia talks about it, and I need it. So if I was to travel from New Zealand, it's $5,000. It's a $5,000 round trip. That's pretty steep stuff for a sandwich. Or what you could do, just spend $13 at your local Domino's for essentially the same thing, but a pizza. Sources have said it's exactly the same, and I believe them. And it has nothing to do with being sponsored. Okay, let's start with the bangers in Group 1. They are last currently. 0 points. Their net run rate is negative point. Sorry, sounded weird there. Negative 2.489. Their last 2 results, they lost by 28 runs. Duckworth Lewis versus Australia. It was by plenty. And then they lost comfortably last night by 50 runs versus India. So tough start, and they've got Afghanistan to play. How can they qualify? India have to beat Australia and probably beat them by a lot. Not impossible. India are a good side. Australia look pretty ordinary against Afghanistan. Then they have to beat Afghanistan by a shitload. That leaves India on top on 6 points. Sounds doable. Australia, Afghanistan, Bangladesh would all then be tied on points. And then Bangladesh would somehow have to overcome that big gap for net run rate and come in the 2 spot. It's not impossible, but it's very, very highly unlikely. Let's put it that way. Afghanistan, 3rd on 2 points. Net run rate of negative 0.650. They lost by 47 runs versus India, and then they obviously beat Australia by 21 runs. They've got Bangladesh left. How do they qualify, you may ask? If India beat Australia, and then they beat Bangladesh by a wee bit, I think that means they're through. That would mean, yes, they would definitely be through with that. So if those 2 things happen, India beat Australia, and then they beat English, they are definitely through to the next round. They can still get through if Australia win. So, for example, Australia beat India by 1 run. Afghanistan would have to beat Bangladesh by about 36 runs to overtake Australia on net run rate. Afghanistan are $1.57 favourites to beat Bangladesh. India are $1.72 favourites to beat Australia. It's looking likely. It's looking likely. If you're a betting man, that's a good bet right there. That's a good wee multi. And then even if Australia do sort of just win, could they just destroy 36 runs? Doesn't seem outrageous, but again, Australia only winning by 1 run. If they're going to win, it's probably going to be more than that, isn't it? It's probably less likely they win by 1 run than by 20 or so. So that'll be interesting. That is the second match, the Afghanistan-Bangladesh game. So that'll be interesting. So not definite, likely. We'll put it as this stage. Australia, they are second on 2 points. They are ahead of Afghanistan with by net run rate. Theirs is at 0.223. They beat Bangladesh by 28 runs. Then they lost to Afghanistan by 21 runs. They've obviously got India to play. How do they qualify? They beat India, ideally by a lot. Would be handy. They would most likely be in, but not a given. If they lose to India, they would need to probably keep that game relatively close, and then Bangladesh would beat Afghanistan in a close-ish match. They would probably then, it would be a net run rate race between Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Australia. They would all be on 2 points. India would, be on 6 points. Then they would have the highest net run rate. They'd go through. That's looking relatively likely since they have the highest run rate out of the three. Yeah, would it happen? It's beating India is going to be tough. So I don't know what that looks like, but as of now, I'd say the slight underdogs to sort of get ahead of Afghanistan. India, not a guarantee just now, so we'll sort of go through the scenarios. They are first with 4 points, net run rate of 2.425, very healthy indeed. Comfortably bet Afghanistan by 47, and they comfortably bet Bangladesh by 50 runs, and they've obviously got Australia to come. How do they qualify? They beat Australia, that are in top qualifier. If they lose and Afghanistan beat Bangladesh by a lot, India, Australia, and Afghanistan will be tied. They would have to be smoked by Australia, and Afghanistan would have to smoke Bangladesh. That would mean that Australia and Afghanistan's net run rate would be higher. As I said before, their net run rate is 2.4. They would have to be really, really smashed, and Afghanistan would have to really, really smash Bangladesh. It's not impossible. I wouldn't put money on it, but it's possible. Let's put it that way. Enough chit chat. Who does make it? India, I feel like are as close to a lock as possible. I wouldn't rule out Australia winning that game. I'll get to that in a second. I don't think Bangladesh are bad enough. Like, they're not a minnow. I mean, they're not. I think they're actually playing some semi-decent cricket. Afghanistan to just absolutely obliterate them by 100 runs or 150 runs or whatever they need to. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. To knock India, I can't see it. I can't see it. Too many things have to go against India for them to be knocked out. I think they're through no matter what. It's between Australia and Afghanistan, is it? And obviously Afghanistan are the favourites because they are favourites to beat Bangladesh. India are favourites to beat Australia, so that would mean Afghanistan are favourites. But I'm going Australia. I'm going to pick them to beat India. I just think this Australian side, they've shown up time and time again that when push comes to shove, they turn up. It would be on brand for them to just play their best game of cricket in this game and beat India by a few. I could see it happening as well as India are going. I think Australia have it in them to just turn it on. I could be completely wrong. That game against Afghanistan could be an omen for how they're travelling, but I think it's a blip, and I think they're a good enough side to do what they need to do what they need to do against India. I think Afghanistan's going to beat Bangladesh, and I think they deserve a spot. I think they've done nothing wrong, but I just don't think Bangladesh are that sort of side that you can just boost your net run rate like a minnow. They have played some good cricket. They came out of the pool of death. They ran into India, Australia, got outplayed by two good sides. I think they could beat Afghanistan. I'm picking Afghanistan because I think they're playing really good cricket. But I can't hang my head and go, they'll smash Bangladesh. I just can't. I can't see it. I can't see it. So there you go. India and Australia are my picks for Group 1.
The secret, eh?
Group 2. I'll try and get this quick because these could get outdated really quickly, but USA are the last with 0 points. Their net run rate is just shy of 2.908. They lost by 18 runs in a closest game against South Africa, and they got smashed by 8 wickets. Or was it 9 wickets? It was a lot. They got smashed anyway by the West Indies. and they've got England to play. They can still qualify. Technically, they have to beat England probably by 1,000. Then they need South Africa to beat West Indies by probably not that much, maybe 500. And then England, West Indies, and USA, they're going to be tied on 2 points. Then they're going to go through on net run rate. Technically, that can happen. I would say it's almost impossible. That's my thing. But hey, let's give everyone a chance. They technically could do it. They won't, but they technically could. I also feel like they're running out of steam a little bit, which we'll get to later. I don't think that's take nothing away from their trip. It just feels like it's a lot of cricket against good sides, a lot more tape on them, just running out a bit of steam, and that's okay. England, third with 2 points. Their net run rate is relatively good considering they lost the game, 0.412. They beat West Indies by comfortable 8 wickets, and they just lost to South Africa by 7 runs, which helped their net run rate, only losing by a little bit. And then they've got USA very shortly. How do they qualify? They beat USA well. Then the West Indies beat South Africa. That would mean South Africa, West Indies, England tied on 4 points. In that scenario, England and West Indies net run rates would go ahead of South Africa, assuming they beat USA by enough. Then West Indies and England would go through in that scenario, or South Africa beats West Indies well. Bear in mind they've got quite a good net run rate. England beats USA by enough of a margin, probably more in that scenario. Like an Oman job potentially, and then they will go ahead of the West Indies. That scenario, South Africa and England will go through. West Indies second on 2 points. Their net run rate 1.814, very healthy. They lost comfortably to England by 8 wickets, and they smashed USA by 9 wickets or so. Chased down 130 in about 5 overs. It wasn't 5 overs, but it was a lot. Not a lot even. And then they've got South Africa to come. That's the last game. The last game of that group. So that'll be tomorrow. How do they qualify? Well, if USA beats England, that'd be handy. They would, they'd probably go through no matter what. Their net run rate would be high enough, even if they did lose. Would that happen? I don't know. If they do beat South Africa, they probably will then go through. I don't think no matter what, because their net run rate is higher than South Africa's, which we'll get to, South Africa's scenario. So they'd get through, and then it wouldn't really matter. It'd just be England and South Africa fighting out for that last spot. They want to go through, beat South Africa. South Africa, they are first with 4 points. They haven't lost a game in this whole tournament. Net run rate, 0.625. 2 close wins. USA by 18 runs, and they beat England by 7 runs. They've got West Indies, obviously. How do they qualify? They beat West Indies. They are through top qualifier. Problem is, if they lose the West Indies are going to go ahead of them. Then they're going to need either the USA to win, or at the very least, they're going to make that game against England quite difficult, so the net run rate doesn't go. England's net run rate doesn't go ahead of South Africa's. They would also probably need that game against the West Indies to be close, so it doesn't damage their net run rate too much in that scenario. So my prediction, I honestly think the team that has the box seat right now is England. Obviously, this game is not that far away, so I could be wrong and this can look stupid, but this is, at the moment, I think they've got the box seat. I think they've got the advantage of playing the USA last, because I think, as I touched on before, I think they're getting a little bit tired. I do, a little bit tired. I think they're just starting to run out of gas and being like, this is some good sides. But we're probably struggling to just keep these performances going night in, night out, which is fine. Take nothing away from them. They're a good minnow bashing side. Look at that Oman game, Namibian game. They've got a very good net run rate as it is. Likely they will bowl first. They'll chase it down and fuck all. Or they'll lose. Who knows? I don't know anything. Just to podcast it, really. The other spot, the scary thing about this next spot is the West Indies and South Africa are both paying $1.90 to win. The bookies can't split them. So I'll try. I feel bad for South Africa because they've won 6 on the bounce and they lose one game here and they're probably gone. The West Indies crowd are going to be up for it. It's going to be a raucous crowd. The momentum side, this West Indies side. It is last. Okay, so it's after. So South Africa would, even if they were losing, they would potentially know how to get in while they were losing. So that's handy. I'm going to go South Africa. I do think there's something different about the side. They've played this trick with us before where they look good and they end up choking. But I feel like because they are winning ugly, I think there's some character stuff. I do. They're winning different ways. Different guys are standing up. Good. They've got a good side on paper. The guys like Markham aren't doing anything and they are still finding a way to win. I think that matters. So I'm going to go South Africa and England to go through. Again, this could be wrong, but this is what I feel. I think, yeah, South Africa and England. Unfortunately, West Indies missed out, but hey, there you go. So that's it. It's a short pod. We've got no Jacko. He's away. Try to go solo. Thank you for joining us today. No doubt these all age horrendously, especially with England, USA on in about 4 hours. But I had to jump on after this Afghanistan game because it's just everything's being blown wide open, and that's exciting stuff because it was getting a bit boring there for a second. So we will catch you guys all in a couple of days and recap the Super 8s and then onto the semis. Thanks, mate.